I've been talking to Davood Moradian, who worked for Mr. Karzai when he was in office. He's now director of the Afghan Institute for Strategic Studies and left Kabul for Istanbul a week ago. What's his information on how those talks to form an administration are going?
I wouldn't describe as a talk, mainly as a showmanship on part of the Taliban, because there are a lot of important questions that remain unanswered. To start with, where is the supreme leader of the Taliban, Mullah Habatullah? The Taliban, they have entered Kabul, but we have not heard anything from him as the supreme leader. Secondly, there is this emergent tension and competition within the Taliban that we see now. The faction of Haqqani group, they're trying to assert themselves forcefully in providing security of Kabul. Then we have the Kuwaiti Shura faction of the Taliban. And if you speak with the Taliban spokespersons, now they have 3-4 different spokespersons. So therefore, to begin with, there's a lot of question about the Taliban's internal coherence, let alone their capacity and willingness to engage with other political stakeholders.
But they have been holding meetings with your former boss, President Karzai, and others. Are you saying those talks are not serious?
No, because to begin with that, those people who have been meeting President Karzai and Dr. Abdullah's, my understanding and my information is that it has been, to put it in a diplomatic terms, a kind of courtesical exchange of pleasantry between elderly years. The Taliban, they have not brought any substantive issue to be discussed. And the fact that President Karzai now is literally a prisoner because he has been evicted from his official residence and he does not have a freedom to communicate with others. So the negotiation with a kind of prisoners does not indicate any seriousness on part of the Taliban.
Right. Are you saying that you've tried to contact former President Karzai and have been unable to because he is unable to communicate with the outside world?
There is a degree of physical and political control surrounding President Karzai and also Dr. Abdullah.
Do you think the Taliban are serious then about this promise to form an inclusive Afghan government?
I think to begin with, that has to be presented in a concrete plan. They have been saying in 60 words, 60 terms of inclusive governments, mainly for the international audience. For the Afghan audience, the keyword is a Sharia-based, pure Islamic governments. So they are communicating different messages to the international audience and to the Afghan audience. But what is more important is that thus far the Taliban, they have not presented any concrete plan that can tell us what is their vision, what is their principle, what is their structure of the governing system. So thus far it has been only rhetorical messaging on part of the Taliban, not a concrete detailed plan.
The Taliban has said it will publish some kind of governing framework within days, within weeks, depending on which senior members of the Taliban you listen to. What do you think a Taliban government is likely to look like? Will it have ministries with responsibility for different areas of life in Afghanistan, or will it be an entirely different kind of setup?
So the most important question is about the internal coherence of the Taliban. Secondly, back to your question, their inspiration is the Islamic Republic of Iran, that they want to establish a Sunni version of the Islamist governments of Iran, where there is a supreme religious leaders, and then the executive would be run by some technocrat type of governance system, kind of a hybrid system that has an overwhelming Islamist identity, but with functional ministries who provide public services to the public, similar to the Iranian regime in Tehran.
Davood Moradian, Director of the Afghan Institute for Strategic Studies, who is now in Istanbul.